About 4 years ago, I did a project called Rowhomes, where I documented the beautiful historic details of row homes across Philadelphia. So this is really a full circle moment to now be able to own my own piece of Philadelphia, my own row home. Ugh. So this is my new house, and as you can see, it needs a ton of work. I'm really excited to document this whole process. I want to do hopefully weekly updates. And a little background on me, my name's Chris. I went to school for architecture, so theoretically I know what needs to be done here, but I don't have experience actually doing most of these things. I have a little bit of construction experience here and there, and I've been doing a lot of projects at my current place where I've been for the past 7 years now, kind of building up the confidence to take on a project like this. So lots to learn, but I'm excited to dive into it. So a little bit about the house. It was built in 1930, so it's nearly 100 years old. About 6 months ago, I started taking the idea of buying a house seriously, and I was just looking all across the city of Philadelphia for a good deal, pretty much. I'm really excited about this location. It's right by Fishtown and Northern Liberties in Philadelphia, so there's a ton to do in this area, a ton of bars and restaurants. In my search, what made this place stand out is there's not too many opportunities to find like a good fixer-upper in a neighborhood that's already very established. And given the architectural background, I'd much rather be able to make a place exactly what I want rather than spending more for a place that's more move-in ready, but certain things wouldn't really be my style. So with that, I want to show you around so you get an idea of the house before much of the work has happened. This is actually day 2, so I've already taken out some of these carpets, but let me show you around. So here we are in the living room. My girlfriend Morgan, she's helping me out through this project. And I've already taken out a bunch of junk that I need to get rid of at some point. And moving into the original dining area, you can go down to the basement there. And in the back here is kind of a quaint little kitchen with this funny printed brick wallpaper, essentially. And I'm very excited to have my own little outdoor space here. It's small, but there's a lot of potential. Moving up the stairs here, the stairs kind of wind around, which saves a lot of space, but is a little sketchy to walk up. Here's the first bedroom. Everything is radiator heat, and I want to keep as many of those as I can because it's a system that's here that works, so why get rid of it? And I love the historic doors. For some reason, it's only the closets that have like the original wood doors. And when I tore up the carpet, I noticed that there's actually a fireplace here at one point. You can see the old bricks down below that were used to make sure the house doesn't catch on fire, having wood too close, and there used to be a fireplace right in here. Yeah, clearly needs a lot of work in here, but I love having a window in the bathroom. Kind of a perk. And all this stuff is kind of janky. So the second bedroom, nice and bright, windows on both sides. When I was pulling up the carpets, I found these original newspapers. One of them, look at this. This is the Philadelphia Inquirer, 1949. To the third bedroom, the third floor is just one room, these winder stairs, but it's a pretty good sized room. And here we actually have the original, I believe this is the original door up above. And that pretty much concludes the tour. The first order of business here is taking down this drop ceiling.
We need glasses. Oh, it's in my eyes. Oh, it's in my hair.
Yeah, I just poured it on you. Ugh. There we go, free it at last. My beautiful fan is still intact. All right, now that the whole ceiling's down here, see what's up with this carpet. I don't know, this subfloor's kind of cool. I feel like I could live with it. This is nasty. There are sections of this underlayment of the carpet that have been so worn down that it just adhered to the wood, and it's so thin from all of the traffic. I wonder how old these carpets are. Another fun day one task is getting rid of this foliage back here. This thing feels like it's gonna break. The roof actually looks pretty good. The carpet leaves behind a million little staples, and they all have to be removed. This is 100 years of dust. I've been really hoping to find more newspapers after I found some on the second floor. Check out what we got here. Oh, look at all these newspapers. I'm hoping to remove this wall, but I explored a little bit and it's brick, but there's some wood in there too, which is curious. And I know it's likely holding up the exterior wall right above here. So it's gonna be a little complicated to take out. Probably gonna need a beam above, but for now I can just get rid of the plaster just to see what we're working with. Some unfortunate news, taking off the plaster. This wood is like non-existent. I'm pretty sure it's termites, but it's paper thin. And I'm not sure how far that extends into like the structural material. And I'm anxious to take off the plaster on the exterior walls that are actually more load bearing. So this is gonna be an ongoing issue, and a lot's gonna need to be replaced. But so far I haven't seen any actual termites, hoping that this was damage from a long time ago. It's the start of day 3, and I've been making a lot of exploratory holes in my wall. And there's a lot of interesting stuff. For one, I got like 6 inches here, and I can add some square footage and make these stairs breathe a little bit. But what's interesting is that this wallpaper it actually runs down below the stairs, which makes me think that the staircase used to actually come down here and wrap around to right here. So this wallpaper behind this wall was before that, that renovation. Another interesting observation. Up here, I realized that none of these walls have any insulation in them. So that's kind of too bad, and I'm gonna do my best to fix it. Also, originally I thought that this wall right here would be brick as well, but it is not. It's made of wood. So I gotta check in there and see if there's any of that termite damage. So I've been studying the structure here. This is right underneath the bathroom on the second floor, and there's a lot of bad things. For one, you can see that this joist is not bearing on anything, entirely cut. And then Here, that's another joist that they removed and patched in. And then even here, it looks like there's a joist, but there's really nothing that it's bearing on. And it's not like these are sistered or anything. These new ones, actually, let me show you this. This beam is barely being held on. There's like one screw over there, and it's obviously not carrying any weight. So there's some stuff to be done in this with these floor joists. So I guess I figured out why my basement is wet all the time. I just had a walkthrough with one of the contractors I'm considering working with, and some of the biggest takeaways are I think I need to take all the plaster off these walls because I need to see how structurally sound they are. If there's termite damage, if I need to reinforce the structure before I could consider adding like a third floor addition. So I need to take plaster off here as well as the bedroom. This is like the structural wood of the house, and it's all just kind of flaking apart. That can't be good. So this is day 4, and I've taken a lot of time to just study and think and understand what's happening here. And there's a few pieces of evidence. I feel kind of like a detective as I'm discovering this stuff, some things that were interesting to me, and I finally figured out what's going on. So first, you can see this radiator is just floating. So it's essentially being actually supported by its cast iron supply pipes here. Another thing, you can't quite tell in the video, but that corner is kind of dropping down, okay? Now, if we look in this wall, there are a couple of pipes, and I think this is where the termites were actually getting in. These penetrations through the foundation out to the exterior. They weren't sealed well, bugs got in, and you can see all this damage, and it extends up to the top here. And additionally, there's just so much structural damage on this post, and there's actually a joist. You're looking at kind of the butt end of a joist that's been pretty much eaten away at. So I know in the basement that corner is what we want to look at. Another piece of evidence, here we are, this is the second floor, right above that spot. You can actually look down and see right where we were. And here again, we have a floating radiator. On this end, it's fallen down because it's being supported to the left by these cast iron pipes, and it's floating, and you can see that the floor dropping, it actually pried this wood subfloor up because the cast iron wasn't moving, but the whole house was dropping around it. So now we're here in the basement. That's the corner we were just under. And I noticed here that these joists are actually sitting up on a wood sill plate. Not sure if you can see that there, but the joist is sitting on wood, and then that wood is resting on the foundation. Over here, we can see a ton of termite damage at the end of that joist. And also what I noticed is that wood sill plate, it's very hard to even see it. It's basically just disintegrated. So these joists have been dropping as the wood support under it has rotted away. And another piece of evidence of this that's really interesting is all of these shims. So essentially the joists were dropping out, and the previous homeowner just wanted to keep their floor level, so they were just jacking up the floor with a bunch of shims. And you can see it especially like here, there's actually space between the floorboards and the joists, which is very odd. The boards should be actually bearing on the joists, but they are not in this case. You can see it here too, where there's actually a gap between the subfloor and the joists, because they were trying to correct for this, the whole building kind of sinking in that corner. Okay, a final piece of evidence here. This is the same corner. I've looked in there and you can see kind of that rotten wood. And I've been so curious about this. You can tell the whole facade is coming out there and then coming back towards the foundation. And I was very curious as to why that would be happening. And this stucco was installed 35 years ago, so it gives me a bit of a frame of reference. Basically what's happening here is the structure behind this wall is all sinking, but this stucco and lath is actually being supported on the foundation here, which the joist, the top of the joist is at this level. So the stucco isn't sitting on the joists that are dropping, the stucco is actually sitting on this concrete. So as the house has fallen, this stucco has all bowed out. Now let's talk a little bit about solutions. So another thing I noticed, for one, this floor is really bouncy because they just cut this joist, and this wood shouldn't be spanning that far, and this joist is entirely unsupported. So it's basically being held up by the floorboards. That's no good. Two, you can see some termite damage in the joist there. Three, this joist, it's kind of hard to tell, but it's cracking on the bottom. So the bottom section of it is pretty much not really good. It's not really supporting much. And there's a couple other spots of termite damage. I was ashamed or bummed to see that the termites made it this far. Generally the joist is pretty structural, but you can just sister it to give it some more strength. And in general, let's talk a little bit about solutions. So I do have a structural engineer coming next week, and I'm really curious to see what he thinks of this whole situation. But generally what needs to happen is this whole floor needs to be jacked up by about 4 to 6 inches, and then a new sill plate goes in underneath the joists to hold them up. But also these joists are kind of compromised, so if we can fit a whole new joist that's the whole length of this, which is about, I think it's like a 12-foot span, we could slide a new joist in and sister the original and then jack up with that newfound support. So it's a lot of structural work to be done here, and really curious how the structural engineer proposes fixing it.